Tucker Carlson has been in Australia this week. He's been on a speaking tour, spreading the good word around. Now, I have worked in Australian media for quite a while, and I realize how woke and left-wing and progressive it is. And I work a lot with American media as well, so I thought they were kind of similar. American media is also very progressive. They push their own agenda, but Tucker Carlson being here and his various public appearances has really made me realize that Australian media is beyond any wokeness anywhere in the world. Now, when you live in a country and you work in that industry, you sometimes get a little bit blinded to what is outside that. Now, I thought Australian media was kind of like I knew it was very progressive. Now, we have the ABC, the Guardian, Channel 9, 7, 10. All of those mainstream media networks are very much toe the line. They don't want to offend anyone. They want to retain as many viewers as possible. Everyone in Australia thinks that our mainstream media is mainstream views. Tucker Carlson being here has made me realize that that is so not true, and we live in a complete echo chamber of our own making. We all think that outlets like Sky News or 2GB or 3AW or wherever you live are super conservative, super right-wing outliers that only old men who yell at clouds listen or watch. But it's actually not true. Those outlets are actually center-right if you look at it in the scheme of the world. The mainstream media, all the commercial networks and radio stations, are actually very, very left-wing. But we, because we're in this little island so far away from everyone, think that that's just normal, and anyone who doesn't subscribe to those views or values are just complete right-wing nut jobs. Now, it's really good when people like Tucker Carlson, who is definitely right-wing conservative, but not crazy extreme, and illuminates our media to make us realize that we are such a progressive country when it comes to the agendas that we push. Now, look at this altercation with an AAP journalist. Tucker Carlson was doing like a press conference thing in Canberra, and this AAP journalist, clearly, like they all do, they've got a list of talking points. They don't know how to divert from them, and they haven't done much background research on anything other than the exact talking points that they have. You'll see. I'm going to show you a series of clips and I'm going to react to them because this is priceless, and this has gone viral all across the world. It's all over Twitter today. Elon Musk commented on it because it's so absurd and it's so humiliating for Australian media to put this person up as the face of our media. Okay, let's take a look at the first part of this.
So much for your address today. So you talked a little bit about immigration, and in the past you've talked about how white Australians, Americans, Europeans are being replaced by non-white immigrants in what is often referred to as the Great Replacement Theory. This is the same...
Have I said that whites are being replaced?
Well...
I don't think I said that.
Well, it's been mentioned on your show 4,000 times. And
really, when did I say that?
On your show.
I said whites are being replaced?
You have said that before.
Really?
Yeah.
I would challenge you to cite that because I'm pretty sure I haven't said that. I said native-born Americans are being replaced, including blacks.
Native-born Americans.
Native-born Americans.
And
Americans who, like black Americans, have been African Americans, have been in the United States for, in many cases, their families over 400 years. And their concerns are every bit as real and valid and alive to me as the concerns of white people whose families have been there 400 years. So I've never said that whites are being replaced. Not one time, and you can't cite it.
Untrue.
So we just met, but when our relationship starts with a lie, it makes it tough to be friends. So
you've been lying
let's
about
pull
my
that back.
press
I'm
gallery
happy to
colleagues all
explain what I
morning
do
as well,
think.
so.
Okay, so immediately from the outset, she's come in with her agenda. You can tell that she isn't interested in having a conversation with Tucker Carlson. She has gone there, she's got her talking points that she's clearly, or the office has probably congregated, had a meeting and said, we're gonna get him on these points. She's written them down. She hasn't bothered to research anything around it. She's got her opinion and she will not defer from it. So she immediately comes on the back foot because the premise of her question is a lie. So immediately she's got him offside. And it's the nuances in what she says that's a lie. And this is where the left-wing media always comes unstuck. They don't look into the nuances of what they're saying. They're so blinded by their emotions that they have decided that they hate this person, who they're interviewing, and they're gonna go in all guns blazing. And they end up humiliating themselves, because now fancy telling someone with the caliber of Tucker Carlson, who is so experienced and a veteran journalist, telling them what they said, but it's not actually what they said. So you're telling them a lie, you're verbaling them. There is no way that he's gonna take that lying down, and he hasn't. Let's go on to what he says next.
Well, you actually can't say it because I didn't say it, and I don't believe it, and I'm telling you that to your face, so why don't you just accept me at face value? My concern is that the people who are born in the country are the main responsibility of its leaders. And as noted earlier, when those leaders shift their concern from the people whose responsibility it is to take care of to people around the world to put their priorities above that of their own citizens, that's immoral. And they are being replaced in my country, people who are born in the United States, and the birth rate tells the whole story. They're not at replacement rate. And so the US population is growing because we're importing people from other countries. And my view is that happy people have children, and a functioning economy allows them to do that. And we don't have that. And so you need to fix the economy and fix the culture and make it so that people who want to have kids can. You don't just go for the quick sugar fix of importing new people. Like, that's my position. And if you think that's racist, that's your problem.
Okay, so now he's actually clarified what he means. He says that governments like the US are taking the easy way out, and instead of fixing the economy to encourage a natural increase in the birth rate, they're taking the lower hanging fruit and they're just importing other people from other nations into the States to artificially increase that birth rate. Nothing to do with race. And that's exactly where she was getting at. By saying that he believes in the replacement theory, she's suggesting that he's racist, that he doesn't want people from other countries coming to America, where that's not the genesis of his criticism of the government. It's purely because the economy isn't functioning well, therefore people are not having children, and that's why birth rates are increasing. Now let's go on.
I called you a racist.
But of course you are suggesting, and
well,
I must say one of the reasons people don't like people like you in the media is that you never say exactly what you mean. Your slurs are all by implication, and you're about to tell me the great replacement theory is racist or anti-Semitic, whatever. I've said what I've said to you right now like 100 times in public. I hope to, if I live long enough, say it 100 more times. I think it's completely honest and real, not racist or scary. It's factually true. It's not a theory, it's a fact. And the whole point of your question was to be like, you're a scary racist.
Well, I haven't.
And my response is, no, I'm not. Okay, well, how about no more lying in your questions, and then I'll answer it.
So he has absolutely roasted her. He's such a good journalist that he saw her coming from a mile away. He saw exactly what she wanted to accuse him of, and he was not having a bar of it. And what he's saying is exactly true. Journalists like her are so sneaky in the way that they ask questions that their assumption is hidden inside the question, and it doesn't allow the person to respond in an honest manner. They're lazy, cheap journalist tactics, and they're just gotcha questions. But someone like Tucker Carlson is not falling for that. Let's take a look at some more.
Okay, well, this is the same theory, or as you say, idea, that has inspired the New York Buffalo shooting where 11 black Americans were killed. Two white Americans were killed.
Like,
and it's also inspired...
it's not, first of all...
It's inspired one of the worst Australian guns of all time.
How do they get people this stupid in the media? I guess it doesn't pay well. Look, I'm sorry. I've lived among people like you for too long, and I don't mean to call you stupid. Maybe you're just pretending to be, but I'm totally against violence. I'm totally against the war in Ukraine, for example, which doubtless you support. And like all dutiful liberals, support more carnage. I don't. I hate mass shootings, actually. Nothing I said, what does it mean to inspire something? My views are not bigoted against any group. They're honest. They're factual. That's not hate. That's reality. And my views derive from my deep concern for Americans, actually. Americans aren't having kids because they can't afford to. And nobody in charge cares. And so that's my position. That doesn't inspire mass shootings. How dare you try to tie me to some lunatic who murdered people? How dare you, actually? And in fact, I mean, do you know what I mean? I'd be like, Hitler wore those shoes. A lot of people are saying that you're like Hitler. Can you explain those shoes? Hitler wore exactly the same shoes, and you're like, I've got nothing to do with Hitler. Well, that's how I feel about your absurd, disingenuous question.
Okay, so now she's completely ignored everything that he said because it doesn't adhere to her list of questions. And she's like, okay, I've just got to ask the next question because I don't know how to laterally and critically think. So he's told her that he's not racist. He's told her the reasons that he believes in the Great Replacement Theory. And they've got nothing to do with anything that she assumed in the first place. Yet she completely dismissed all of that and she just had to tick off the next question on her list. It's the mark of the laziest kind of journalist and the dumbest because she can't think outside what's on her piece of paper. This woman does not deserve to be a journalist and she doesn't deserve to be in that room with him. And you can tell Tucker Carlson has had it. He's had it because he's spent a lifetime around the same sorts of people. They just churn them out from the universities. They can't think outside of the little tiny square that they've been taught to believe. And he's just sick of it. He doesn't want to be in the presence of this person.
Right, so therefore you support gun control?
What? I thought it couldn't get dumber, but it did. No, I don't support disarming law-abiding people so they can't defend themselves. So the government has a monopoly on violence? I don't think so. First of all, in my country, that's illegal, as you know. But moreover, it should be illegal in every country. A sovereign person has the right to defend himself and his family. Period. And that said, I'm totally opposed to harming anyone. Anyone. Have you been calling? Are you concerned about the war in Ukraine? And the countless innocents being murdered there every single day? I doubt you are. Probably Putin bad. I am. I'm a Christian. I hate violence. I hate mass shootings. I have guns at home and often on my person when I'm in the United States, I'm proud to say, because I want to defend myself and those I love against violence. That's the point. I'm not perpetrating crimes. I'm not shooting strangers. I'm defending what I love. And if you're against that, I guess I would ask why. Why would you be against that?
Okay, now once again, she's ignored everything that he said and she's making this tenuous link between Tucker Carlson saying that the US government is bringing in migrants rather than fixing the economy to encourage people to have more children naturally, to being a proponent of mass shootings. Show me how that link is made.
Well, so you don't think you harbor any kind of responsibility for these hate crimes?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to be charitable. I was like, maybe you're just pretending to be dumb. Now I don't think it's an act.
Tucker, thank you for taking those questions. I'm sure you enjoyed some
Actually, I
questions from the
loved it. I
press.
just feel sorry. I mean, because I got here and the country's so unbelievably beautiful and the people are so cheerful and funny and cool and smart. I'm like, your media's got to be better than ours. It can't just be a bunch of castrated robots reading questions from the boss. And then it turns out it's exactly the same, maybe even a tiny bit dumber.
Once again, ignored everything that he said in the 5 minutes before, and she just had to get that one in. Okay, so it's your fault. You have to take on responsibility for mass shootings, for racism, for hate crimes. Everything is Tucker Carlson's fault. And I don't know what she thought was going to happen with this ridiculous display of wokeism, but she was so out of her depth there, so out of her depth. And it's humiliating for the Australian media.